and welcome to the BullCast podcast. I'm Katie Pickler, and with me is Court Winsett.
Hello, Katie.
Oh, that was very gruff and have you been working at Santa's shop?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on with my voice this morning. I think it's just early and
It's early, it's cold, we're in December. Well, and we got Cameron Spann here too.
Hey.
Your voice is a little kind of gruff too. So,
I had to clear a little bit before we started recording.
Even though we may be a little gruff, we may be a little cold, we are still going to deliver some wonderful content to you today. What?
it's just that's very radio hosty of you. I don't know. It's just sort of.
I mean, guys, we've been doing this for 10 years now.
We're not stopping now.
We're not stopping now. Nothing is going to stop us from releasing content to you guys every Thursday at noon. Now that I'm done with my little advertisement. So the cost of the 12 days of Christmas then and now, aka the power of inflation. A lot of times, day to day, I will go over financial plans with people. I'll go over inflation protection. My expense is really going to be this much. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, think about everyone has that story their parents talked about of, oh, well, back in my day, gas was only, a nickel, or you go get a Coke at the drugstore for 2 cents or what, something crazy like that. I think as you grow up, you're like, I don't have anything like that. And then you start catching yourself going, well, Sonic meals used to cost this and now they cost that. You catch yourself picking up on it. And obviously after these past couple of years, inflation was a big hot button of how expensive groceries were. A lot of times it creeps up on you. It's not a big shock of, hey, you used to be able to get $1 Coke and now it's $5 overnight. It slowly creeps up on you, kind of like a lot of things in life, just slowly changes.
Yeah. And kind of as a disclosure up front, all of this information came from our friends at PNC. They're not really our friends, but in my mind they are. But they have this wonderful webpage at pnc.com that goes into detail on all of this.
Okay. So, Court, why don't you give us a little history lesson?
We're just not even going to do a list this time. We're just going to.
The list is the episode.
The list is the episode.
We're going to just go in straight into Court's
going in cold.
Lesson.
Here we go.
Yeah, it used to be Katie's history lesson.
History of the 12 Days of Christmas. The song first appeared in a children's book, Mirth Without Mischief, published in England in 1780. It was presented as a memory game where players recited the lyrics and added a new verse each round. If a participant forgot a line, they owed a forfeit or a small penalty. Oh my God, guys, it's a drinking game. If you forget one of the 12 days, you drink.
Do you know what mirth means? Because I just had to look it up.
Mirth, well, yes. I think of it as happiness, basically.
Yeah,
joy.
yeah, that's right. It's an amusement. That's right.
So happiness without mischief. Mm-hmm. Okay.
We all sing, "We have the 12 days of Christmas." So that melody, most people recognize today, was actually set by English composer Frederick Austin in 1909. Austin also added the iconic elongated five golden rings in his arrangement. So there you go. There is the development of it. It wasn't originally developed as a song, which is...
That's crazy. It was a memory game.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. It's like, okay, I start and then you add something and then you got to just remember going forward.
And then you work your way back down to the partridge.
So one of the most fun things about the whole idea of this particular rhyme and game and song and whatever else you want to call it, if your true love actually gave you all of the things that they are said to give you over the course of the 12 days of Christmas, how much would it actually cost? And
there's of course, y'all are going to be shocked, but there's a Hallmark movie about this.
Of course there is.
I have not seen it. I know my mom was telling me about it, but there is a movie where a guy, every day for 12 days gives her all these gifts, and it's elaborate.
Well, it's elaborate and also, it's expensive.
Yeah. So let's break this down. We're going to try not to sing too much. We left singing on our episodes a lot in season 1, and so we only sing a little bit now. Obviously, it'll be hard not to play it in your head. Okay, so we are comparing the 1900s value. So when we say 1900s, we're not being because a lot of people will be like, oh, we were born in the 1900s. Do not date me like that. That sounds awful. We're talking about when Frederick created this composure, back when it became just Partridge in a Pear Tree, Two Turtle Doves, when it actually became a song. Mm-hmm. And we're comparing it to today's values using the PNC Financial CPI, Christmas Price Index.
Okay. All right.
So instead of the Consumer Price Index, which you'll probably always see it. Because remember, guys, when you see CPI, it doesn't always mean Christmas price index. So on the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me
You got to sing it.
a partridge in a pear tree. So
Why? Why would you give someone a partridge in a pear tree?
this is not about judgment. This is about the song.
Okay, well, pear trees were symbols of wealth. Partridges were exotic, so you
Yeah.
know it was a
Double
fancy
whammy.
gift.
Yeah. So wealth and exotic. So back then, it was estimated based on agricultural and exotic bird prices at the time to be $5 to $10.
$5 to $10 in 1909. That was pretty expensive.
Well, and you got to think about, okay, where do you live? Are there just like partridges hanging around? Are there pear trees hanging around? Like, do pear trees even thrive where you're from? So now, how much does it cost?
Today's cost is $370.18.
So, I mean, that is insane. You've gone from $5 to $10 up to $370.
And presumably that's just for a partridge in a pear tree. By the end of this, we're going to be giving somebody 12 partridges in a pear tree.
The website says the bird costs the same, but the tree is rooting itself deeper in True Love's wallet this year.
Second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. Common birds, but symbols of love and devotion. So back in 1909, I guess, it was $2 to $5 per pair.
Okay.
And then cost now would be $750. These are common birds, but they cost $750 compared to the exotic bird that only costs $370 and the whatever. That's crazy.
Maybe
Okay.
doves are harder to catch.
I guess so. I mean, I don't know.
The price did stay the same from 2023, so this price has not inflated as much. Any other little tidbits, Cam, on the 2 turtle doves?
Nope, that was it. The just increase of 0%.
Oh, okay. And you want to go on the third?
Next on the list, more birds. So many birds.
Well,
Okay,
they
this
liked their birds back in 1780.
On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Let's go ahead and establish now that we don't have to keep repeating.
Okay.
We have to do it the whole time.
At the end, we have to do it all.
Yes.
Okay.
A luxury at the time considered a premium breed. The cost then was $10 to $15 for 3 hens.
Okay.
The cost now is $346.50, which is a 5% hike from last year. Birds.
Okay, so you're starting to add up. Okay, we've got 370, we've got 750, 346, and we're just going into the 4th day now. We're just 3 days in. 4 calling birds on the 4th day. Likely songbirds or canaries, a mark of opulence. We're slowly hiking up. We started out with 5 to 10. Then it was 5 per pair, so we're at 10. Then we're now at 10 to 15 with the 3 French horns. Now we're at 10 to 20 for these 4 calling birds. Now they're going to cost us just under $600, $599.96. This did stay the same from last year, so we didn't see a big spike between the 2 years.
For some dang canaries.
It says, while remaining the same for 10 years can be boring, in this case, it makes for reliable planning and true love's budget. So calling birds, just the price really hasn't changed
So
for a
maybe if you really love someone, you maybe just skip and go to the 4th day.
I mean, I guess I'm probably going to skip and go to day 5 if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Day 5 is 5 golden rings, okay, or 5 gold rings. Likely simple gold bands, but still, I mean, $75 to $100 back in the day. Now it's $1,245.
Wow.
So the price stayed the same from 2023. Gold hasn't gone up, I guess.
But we really stepped it up on that 5th day.
That's a good gift there. None of this bird stuff. We don't live on a farm. I don't want a bunch of birds.
Yeah, you just gave precious metals court, and guess where we're going now? Birds. More birds.
More birds.
Well, and like talking back of our last episode with Santa having to store everything, like you got to have all this stuff on hand ready to deliver each day. So you've got to have like food and carriers to take care of these birds and, got to have your cloth ready to shine up these rings.
The North Pole just has a large aviary, doesn't it? Just this big.
Has to be.
Yeah. On the 6th day, not just 6 geese, but they are a laying.
They're a laying.
The geese were prized for eggs and meat, a staple of feasts. The cost then was around $20 to $30 for 6 geese. Now, $900. It's up 15% from 2023. But if you want geese for free, just go to Germantown Parkway. They're always crossing there. Just throw them in your Subaru and roll.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about what caliber this is. Okay, the 7th day. So 7 swans a-swimming. Swans are obviously very beautiful, very rare, and very expensive.
Indeed.
And so, that's always was a status symbol of, they have swans at their event. So the cost then was typically $200 to $300, a status symbol for aristocrats. Now we're looking at $13,125.
That again, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot. 7 swans. That's a lot of swans, though. I remember in Father of the Bride wanting to have the swans, and then they had the freeze come in, and it's like, like, we got to put the swans in the bathtub. We got to warm them up.
Yeah, PNC says they stayed flat this year, but the swans, they're still the second most expensive gift in the index.
And that's just on day 7. It's not like you're just giving them swans or you're just giving them gold rings. You better be committed to this person. This better not be somebody you're just trying to impress and hope to get out of the friend zone. Like, this is a big deal.
I'm concerned about the next one, Cord. I'm excited you get this one.
Listen, I'm gonna play this as straight as possible. Day 8 is 8 maids of milking. We're just talking about labor costs here.
Not owning
the
owning
women.
the milkmaids? Okay.
Correct. Labor costs for milkmaids in an agrarian society, wages for a day for a milkmaid were $5 to $10 total back in 1909. The cost now, supposedly, is for a day is $58. Now, I've got to think that even for just a milkmaid, $58 is only covering the wages for one person.
Yeah, I would not think that would cover all 8 of them.
Yeah, because that's one day wage for $58 for 8 maids of milking seems like a really, really low. So I assume you would take that 58 and multiply
And is it
by
one
8.
milking session and they leave? Like, there's a lot of questions here.
Or they just come in, milk the cow, they each get one cow, and then they go?
Yeah.
So it's $58 there for a day. What are we talking about here?
How is this a gift? Honey, I got you some maids to
Some
milk.
raw milk.
Watch as they milk the
Yes,
cow.
absolutely.
But
Listen, if
think
you've got-
about this is back in 1780. And so you're giving these status symbols. And so you're having your own private milkers that are giving you fresh milk.
I mean, milking was not the most pleasant job, I'm sure. So, being able to pay somebody to do it for you.
Well, and the fact that they're talking about, who is it, on the geese, prize for their eggs and meat. Okay, so you're going to have these pretty geese a laying that are going to have these eggs, and then it's like, whatcha?
Hey, we're locked in.
Chop them up and eat them. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not plan that. That was just pure us being us.
All right, let's move to the 9th day. Guess what it is? It is 9 ladies dancing. Are we talking belly dancers?
I don't know.
This says they're
Again, 1700s, y'all.
they're likely hired professional dancers for entertainment, of course. So the cost then would be around $50 to $100 for an event. Now it's about $8,500. That's up 3% from last year for professional dancers. Katie, you're in the event planning space. Is that
not a
pretty
professional
accurate?
dancer.
Is it accurate to hire a dancer for about $8,500 for an event?
Well, if you got, what do we say, 9 of them? Yeah.
That's a deal, actually.
If you got 9 dancers, I mean, it depends. Like, are these, dancers you found on the street corner? Are they like professional dancers that are coming off of Broadway? But yeah, I mean, entertainment is a huge aspect. And again, this is kind of, you think about, this was a courtship. And so they're trying to show their status and their respect to this person. It's like, here, I'm giving you these performers that are going to woo you while you're enjoying eating your geese, because now it's on day 9 and the geese have laid the eggs and you're going to eat it.
Goose with milk.
10 lords of leaping. So represents nobility, likely elite performers or actors. So again, we're going into the entertainment world. You've gotten these beautiful rings you're showing off. You've got your swans, everything going on. So back then, this service would have cost about $100 to $200 for their services. Now, for those 10 lords of leaping, we're looking at over $15,500, up 7% from last year. So this is probably one, aside from the geese, this is the second highest increase.
This is the most expensive on here, surpassing the swans.
Wow.
Well, so the way they're classifying it is likely elite performers or actors. And so, if you hire 10 people to come in and perform for you, then I guess
That's a lot. You got to pay each of them.
Yeah.
So 10 dudes jumping around is about double the price of 9 ladies dancing.
Well, I mean, I think that
We don't need to get into
That's
that.
not fair.
This is not that conversation.
Side note, have y'all ever heard the Straight No Chaser version of 12 Days of Christmas?
No.
Straight No Chaser is an a cappella singing group that
Okay.
is based out of originated from the University of Indiana, I think. One of the iterations of that group, because clearly they have new members every year at the college, but one of the iterations of that group has gone on to release several albums since they graduated. And I mean, they're all in their like 30s or 40s now, and they're still doing it. But the reason that they were able to do that is because their particular group went viral on like YouTube doing the 12 Days of Christmas. It's a standard song for Straight No Chaser at the school, but this one particular group group happened to really hit it on YouTube or whatever, went viral, and then parlayed that into performing around the country and recording albums and so forth. If you haven't heard the song, I highly recommend it. It is hilarious. And the reason I brought it up at 10 is because at 10, it's the point where it's funny prior to the 10 Lords of Leaping, but at 10 Lords of Leaping, they bust into a cappella version of 12 Days of Christmas to the tune of Toto's Africa.
Oh, that's amazing.
So,
That's what's
it's funny. It's amusing. I like it. It's one of my favorite Christmas songs. Okay, moving on. 11 Pipers Piping. Okay, musicians is basically what we're talking about here. Hired for a party or an event back then, $50 to $100. Now they're saying it's only $3,714. I don't know. If you're getting 11 musicians for a party, that seems like a pretty low price to me. But
yeah, the musicians are getting, the short end of the stick compared to the leapers.
I mean, maybe we're just talking like chamber music that's not in high demand or something,
Your house is getting full now if you've got all this stuff.
All I'm saying is if we have a Christmas party here and we hire a band to play our Christmas party, are we getting that band for $3,700?
Our jazz trio?
Yeah.
See, that's
yeah,
three
for instance,
people.
Our
that's
jazz
three
trio's
people.
for like $1,500 for 3 people.
So
Yeah.
let's say there were 11 of them.
Yeah, it'd be a lot more. And again, it's with all of these, it's the quality because like obviously the gold rings, you could spend, a ton more money depending on what type of gold it is, what kind of,
24 karat.
24 karat gold.
Yellow
is
gold.
it, yeah, like, rose gold, all this different stuff they could do. Same with like you could get the knockoff geese or you could get the like really good ones. Same with the swans. Okay, so we are wrapping this list up. We are now, is it my turn or is it Cam's turn?
I never noticed this, but apart from the gold rings, you have like groupings. You have all the birds together, you have the performers, and now you have the like musicians.
Yeah.
So we're wrapping up with 12 drummers drumming. These would be military drummers or performers for special occasions. The cost then, about $75 to $150. Now, $4,016, which is a price hike of 15% from last year.
And these are like not only are they becoming more elaborate for the most part in price, they're also becoming more elaborate and harder to hide. Like I'm visualizing if I was having somebody deliver this to my house every single day. Like the first couple of days, it's like, okay, like I can, just stick this in my house, like no one's gonna see. But like if you've got Lords of Leaping and milkmaids and you've got drummers, like you can't hide that from the neighbors. They're gonna know what's going on.
Can't hide money.
They're going to know that something is going on. Okay, so true cost of Christmas in song, $209,272.
So that's what it costs for this whole shebang, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking that a group needs to capitalize on, would you like to give the 12 Days of Christmas package to someone?
Totally. Like the ultimate gift basket.
Yeah, because that person, see, this is just talking about the cost of actually physically purchasing these things. This does not include the time and the effort to try and track it all down. Because this is not something, I mean, yes, in the day of Google, like you can Google this stuff, but like you've got to figure out shipping logistics, you've got to figure out storage logistics, all of these different things. So this is not just I would imagine that 209,000 is going to be closer to when you throw your time in there. I mean, what happens if there's a shipping issue and your package gets lost and it's, partridge or the turtle doves or something and they're not left in good conditions and you got to buy another set because something happened to them. I would say if you are planning on doing this for somebody, you need to budget $300,000 on a safe side.
Not only that, but you better warn them that you're coming with 364 presents total. That's taking into consideration how many each day and the repetitions each day of all the other gifts. 364 gifts total.
How many birds alone will be in this gift basket?
I don't know, but it's going to be,
a lot.
I'm not going to want to live wherever these birds are living.
But if you're buying maids that are milking and men that are dancing, you've got money.
I think
it's not a big deal.
You're renting them. You're not buying people. We are not buying people here. This was a very well-timed episode of talking about the 12 Days of Christmas. I think you're going to listen to the song a little bit differently. Hopefully we didn't totally kill you on this, but this was a fun way to kind of explain how inflation works. And also, the other thing I want you to take away that I guess is going to be my bullseye of this is number one, the power of inflation, that if you are selling stuff, you need to make sure you're adjusting your prices because things get more expensive, things change. If you are buying stuff, you can't always expect, that Chanel No. 5 perfume that I buy every year for my wife isn't always going to be that same price. You've got to build in your budget every year. It's going to get a little more expensive every year. And you could have those years where it doesn't change at all, but then you have a big hike the next year. The other thing is when you're budgeting things, we need to think about the logistics aspect of of it and the time that goes into it, because something like this is an elaborate gift and you've got to build in, what could happen. And unfortunately, in today's world, we have wonderful shipping options, but sometimes packages get lost and you have to pivot at the last minute.
Pivot. Before we close, should we sing the 12 Days of Christmas with the 12 on the way down?
No.
But you'd promise that at the front end. One of y'all did.
And neither of us promised.
I think
things.
Cammy should do it.
No, nobody wants to hear that. Not this early in the morning. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, there's the closing bell. You've made it to the end of yet another episode of the BullCast podcast. If you liked what you heard and you'd like to hear more, please feel free to go to your favorite subscription service and sign up to have our podcast beamed directly to your device every single Thursday at noon. If you'd like to find out more about Cortland, Cameron, Katie, or Nicole, please feel free to go to our website. That website is bullcastpodcast.com. We've got pictures up there. We've got bios about ourselves, and we've also got a spot where you can drop a comment or suggest a topic you'd like to hear us talk more about. But hey, I mentioned pictures. If you like pictures, we've got an Instagram handle. That handle is at BullCast Podcast. We also have an X handle, which is at BullCast Podcast as well. And we have a Facebook page. That is BullCast the Podcast. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, Cameron, Katie, Court, and Nicole all work at a place called Pickler Wealth Advisors. And if you'd like to find out more about us, more about what we do, find out about what we can do for you, find out about our amazing team, and find out about our boss, David Pickler, please feel free to go to that website. That website is picklerwealthadvisors.com. That's advisors with an O.
Not an E.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've given you everything you need to go forth and do some Christmas shopping. So for now, I'm Court.
I'm Katie.
I'm Cam.
And we're done.